Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, you know him, you love him, he is not giving up on Build Back Better just because Joe Manchin is giving up on it. And in fact, Bernie is ready to bring the fight to Joe Manchin and bring it to Manchin's home state of West Virginia. I think it's easy for some of us to say, well, look, we have a 50-50 Senate right now, and shucks, what are we going to do? You have this split control, and Democrats, we're not going to get everything that we want because you have to appeal to the most conservative members of the party, like your Joe Manchins and your Kirsten Sinemas. So ultimately, we'll get some stuff that we want, but not everything. Well, Bernie is just saying, I'm not going to take that approach. I'm going to stand in the way here, and I'm going to do so by making sure that West Virginia voters know exactly why they can't get all of these different favorable provisions, like the child tax credit and the elder and child care and universal preschool and so much more. And they can't get all that stuff because of their own senator, Democrat Joe Manchin. Bernie went on CNN's State of the Union this week with Jake Tapper, and he proposed the idea of CNN paying for a poll asking residents what they think of all the different components of Build Back Better. And then as he thought about it, he said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to pay for the damn poll. Let's take a look at the video.
If Senator Manchin were here, he would say, my state is a state that voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. What I'm doing and going after and opposing this legislation will be popular. And Manchin has said he thinks all this money, he's saying all this money is going to make inflation worse.
Well, let me talk about it. Joe Manchin voted for a huge increase in military spending. Manchin voted for an infrastructure bill, which added $250 billion to the deficit. The truth of the matter is that if you look at the military budget, $770 billion, times that by 10 years, it is 4 times higher than what the Build Back Better plan is. Now, Mr. Manchin says he's representing the people of West Virginia. Okay, why don't you do a poll? It's CNN, do a poll, and you ask the people of West Virginia whether or not they want to lower the cost of prescription drugs. You ask them whether they want to expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing, and eyeglasses. You ask them whether they want to continue the $300 payment to help working parents in these very difficult times bring up their kids with dignity. Ask them if they want to deal with climate change. Mm-hmm. On all of those issues, I suspect people of West Virginia, like every other state in this country, will say, yes, do the right thing for working families. And I challenge. I told Manchin, by the way, I'll pay for the damn poll in West Virginia on those issues. See how the people of West Virginia feel.
I like that. So Bernie Sanders, he wrote the damn bill having to do with Medicare for all, and now he'll pay for the damn poll having to do with Build Back Better. So Bernie is really getting assertive there. And of course, Bernie is right. Now, if you asked voters in conservative, Trump-supporting West Virginia, do you support Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion social spending plan? You're probably not going to get favorable results. I doubt you'd get 50% support. Just being honest there, that's the reality. But like what Bernie points out, if you go provision by provision, and you ask people, do you support lowering prescription drug prices? Do you support expanding Medicare? Do you support a child tax credit? And all of these different things, of course, people are going to say yes to all of those different things because they are indeed popular. And it doesn't matter whether you ask people in liberal California or conservative West Virginia, people are going to say that they like all of that different stuff. This is, by the way, exactly what we saw when it came to the Affordable Care Act years ago. If you polled people back then and you said, okay, do you want people, young people, to be able to stay on their parents' health care coverage until they turn 26, people would say yes. If you asked people whether or not they think that businesses with more than 50 employees should have to offer health insurance to their workers, people would say yes. And if you asked people whether or not they think that health insurance companies should be able to deny coverage, to discriminate based on pre-existing conditions, people would say no. But then if you said, okay, well, do you support Obamacare? People would say, no, I don't. Perhaps not realizing that the ACA did all of those different things. So Bernie is exactly right here that a poll conducted in West Virginia on all of the different Build Back Better provisions, it would probably do really well there, but it of course depends on how you ask the questions. And this is also not the first time that Bernie has tried to pressure Joe Manchin in this way, and it's not even the first time that he's tried to do it on Build Back Better specifically. A couple of months ago, Bernie wrote an op-ed in the Charleston Gazette Mail, which is a West Virginia-based newspaper, and he argued for the social spending bill bill, which back then was actually more like $3 trillion. It's a lot smaller now because Democrats caved to the most conservative members of their party, like Manchin and Sinema, and they reduced it by about $1 trillion. At the time, it was a lot bigger. And it seems like Bernie writing that op-ed really got under Joe Manchin's skin. And he said it was because, well, we have this out-of-stater telling us what we should do here in West Virginia. But I think it really, truly got under Joe Manchin's skin because he knew that Bernie Sanders was right here. And this is what we got to do. This is playing hardball, and it's exactly what Bernie should be doing. Biden should be doing the exact same thing. Do some speeches in West Virginia, meet with people there, talk about how Build Back Better would materially improve their lives, get on the phone with Joe Manchin's office. Obviously, you keep it respectful, and you give Manchin the room to change his mind with some dignity, but make it clear that his job security could be put at risk if he decides not to support the legislation.